This is what most people think rich looks like. But this is what true wealth actually looks like. And the difference is everything. Because billionaires don't wear walls, they wear quality. The kind of quality you don't notice at first, but you feel instantly. Most people grow up believing that being rich means looking rich. Big logos, old outfits, showing people that you have money. And honestly, it makes sense, because that's what we see everywhere. Social media, celebrities, influencers. They all push the idea that wealth should be visible. But here's the truth. Real wealth doesn't work like that. In fact, the more money someone has, the less they feel they need to show it. Because at a certain level, you are not trying to prove anything anymore. You are not trying to impress strangers. You are not trying to look successful. You already are. And that's where most people get completely wrong. Logos were never made for rich people. They were made for people who want to look rich. Think about it. A logo is literally a signal. It tells other people, look at me, I can afford this. But if you are already wealthy, why would you need to signal anything? Why would you need validation from people who don't even matter in your life? And that's why real wealth becomes quiet. No logos, no attention, no need to prove anything. Instead, everything shifts to quality. The fabric, the fit, the details that most people don't even notice. And this is where brands change completely. Instead of Gucci and Louis Vuitton, you start seeing names like Loro Piana, Brunello, Zena. Brands that don't scream. Brands that don't need to. Because these brands are not selling status. They are selling something much deeper. Comfort, precision, identity. The kind of clothing that feels different the moment you put it on. And that's the biggest difference between fake wealth and real wealth. Fake wealth is about being seen. Real wealth is about how you feel when nobody's watching. The same thing applies to everything else. Cars, homes, lifestyle. It's not about being loud, it's about being right. Because when you reach a certain level, your priorities change. You stop chasing attention and you start valuing peace, privacy, control. And this mindset doesn't just show in clothing, it shows in how wealthy people live. Look at their homes, they are not loud, they are not trying to impress anyone. Everything is clean, minimal, intentional. Every detail has a purpose. The materials, the lighting, the space. It's not about showing how much it costs. It's about how it feels to live there. Because real luxury is not visual, it's experimental. Most people would walk into a place like this and not even understand what makes it expensive. And that's the point. Real wealth is visible to people who are not used to it. It's not supposed to be obvious. It's supposed to be felt, quietly. The same thing applies to cars. Most people think luxury cars should be loud and aggressive. Bright colors, sharp design, attention everywhere. But look at what wealthy people actually drive. Rolls Royce, Bentley. Cars that don't scream, but dominate quietly. Because again, it's not about attention. It's about comfort, control, presence. When you sit inside a car like this, you don't need to feel powerful, because people are looking at you. You feel powerful because of how it feels. The lines, the smoothness, the control. That's what true luxury is. Not performance for others, but experience for yourself. And that's the difference most people will never understand. Wealth is not about being seen, it's about not needing to be seen at all. And the deeper you go into this world, the more you realize something strange. The people with the most money are often the hardest to identify. You could walk past a billionaire on the street and never even notice. No logos, no attention, nothing that signals wealth to the outside of the world. And that's exactly the point, because real wealth is not built for the public, it's built for the people who already understand it. Most people think luxury is about price, but price is actually the least important part. What really matters is scarcity, control, and access, because anyone can buy something expensive, but not everyone can access something rare. And that's what separates real wealth from people who just spend money. Think about it. A logo is mass-produced. It's designed to be recognized. It's made to be seen everywhere. But real luxury works in the opposite way. It becomes more valuable. The less people know about it, the fewer people who understand it, the more powerful it becomes. And that's why quiet luxury is not a trend. It's a filter, a way to separate people who understand wealth from people who are still chasing it. Because if you need a logo, you are still trying to prove something. And this idea goes far beyond fashion. It applies to everything. The way wealthy people talk, the way they move, the way they make decisions. Everything becomes more controlled, more intentional, more quiet. Because when you have real power, you don't need to show it. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to impress anyone. People can feel it without you saying anything. And that's something most people misunderstand. They think confidence is loud. They think success is visible. But real confidence is quiet. Real success is invisible. And real wealth moves in silence. This is why wealthy people don't follow trends, because trends are for the public. Trends are for the people who are looking for validation. But when you already have status, you don't follow anything. You define your own standard. And the moment you understand this, your entire perception of wealth changes. You stop looking at logos, you stop looking at brands, and you start looking at details. The things that can be faked. The things that require real money and real understanding, because that's the biggest difference. Fake wealth can be copied, anyone can wear a logo, anyone can buy something flashy, but real wealth is much harder to imitate, because it's not just about money, it's about taste, experience, and mindset. And this is why so many people get it wrong. They focus on what they see, instead of understanding what it means. They chase the appearance of wealth, instead of meeting the reality of it. Because at the end of the day, wealth is not performance, it's position. A position where you don't need anyone else's approval. A position where you don't need to prove anything. A position where everything becomes quieter. And the more you observe this, the more patterns you start to notice. The people who talk about money usually have the least of it. The people who try the hardest to look rich are often the ones still chasing it. Because when something is really a part of your life, you stop talking about it. It becomes normal. And that's exactly what happens with wealth. At first, it's exciting. You want to show it. You want people to notice. But over time, that need disappears. Because attention becomes less valuable than peace. And this is something most people don't realize. The goal is not to look rich. The goal is to become the kind of person who doesn't need to look rich. That's a completely different level. Because when you reach that level, everything becomes more intentional. You choose things for yourself, not for other people. You stop asking, how does it look? And start asking, how does it feel? And the shift changes everything. Your style becomes simpler. Your environment becomes cleaner. Your decisions become sharper. Because you are no longer distracted by trying to impress others. And this is why true wealth often looks almost boring from the outside. Natural colors, simple designs, minimal choices, but behind that simplicity is a completely different level of quality. And it's something money alone can buy. You can have money, but still not understand this. Because it's not just about resources, it's about awareness. And that's when you realize, wealth was never about what you show. It was always about what you don't need to show. And the more you understand it, the more your perspective changes. Because at the end of the day, anyone can look rich, but not everyone can be. And the people who truly are don't need to prove it. They don't need attention. They don't need validation. They just exist on a completely different level.